Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Kobel.
And I'm Cordell Cummings.
In this episode of T360, we will give you our takes on all things college football. It's been a crazy year so far with upsets, breakout players. Other than that, everything is kind of expected so far in this early part of the season. But we kick things off with who we believe is the early Heisman favorite this year. So, Cordell, who's your pick?
So my pick, obviously, so far this season is Saquon Barkley from Penn State. The running back has done everything for the Nittany Lions so far. He has 7 total touchdowns, kick return, 99-yard kick return. He sort of reminds me of Christian McCaffrey from last year, the do-it-all running back that's now on the Panthers. He can do everything. He can catch, he can pass. Excuse me. Oh, he actually did have a passing touchdown.
Really?
I think it was like a couple games ago, a passing attempt, but I think he's phenomenal. His leg strength sort of reminds me of Maurice Jones-Drew. I'm giving him a lot of comparisons, and sort of that's what Todd McShay of ESPN, he sort of said he was the best overall prospect at running back since Adrian Peterson, and that is saying a lot.
Yeah, I actually had that down too, comparing him to Adrian Peterson. I've also heard somewhere that he was compared to Marshall Faulk, one of the most dynamic running backs since Marshall Faulk's been entered in the league. Some of his stats, he's got 86 rushing attempts for 574 yards with 4 TDs. That's 6.7 yards a carry across 86 rushes. Like, that's just unheard of. In my opinion, easy first-round pick in the draft if he decides to go in next time. Like you said, with his legs, he could stop and go on a dime. He really can do it all.
Yeah, I've seen videos of him just squatting and lifting weights. It's remarkable, and he's been like this since his sophomore year. So he's been really good so far for the Nittany Lions. I think he's the catalyst for that offense. I don't think that much of Trace McSorley, the quarterback, but he's the engine that stirs everything up.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, so there has been a debate on whether Alabama should remain the number 1 spot in the polls. What about you, Cordell? Do you think that they should stay atop the rankings, or do you think that there's another team who should dethrone them, if you will?
Well, I'm not going to be on here and say roll tide, but I think the Clemson Tigers should be the number 1 team in the country right now. Now, the polls don't mean much because so far, when it's early in the season, they don't mean much towards the college football playoff. But just based on the resume, besides the Florida State game, Alabama hasn't played anyone. And you got to think about it. DeAndre Francois, the Florida State quarterback, actually got injured near the latter half of that game. So I think Clemson, they went on the road to face a tough Virginia Tech team, as well as dethroning the former Heisman winner, Lamar Jackson. So I think Clemson should be the number 1 team right now.
I respectfully disagree with you on that one. I think Alabama is the way to go this year. Look at their last 2 games. Like you said, they're not against anyone really that crazy. But, all right, so their last game, they won 59-0 against Vanderbilt. And the game before that, they won 66-3 against Mississippi. They are just dominating on both sides of the ball right now, especially their running game. It is filthy. Against Vanderbilt, Damian Harris had 12 carries for 151 yards. That's 12.6 yards per carry that game. That's just insane. And then against Mississippi, when they won 66-3, Jalen Hurts, who's also a quarterback, had 10 carries for 101 yards, which is 10.1 yards per carry for all you mathletes out there. So their D, it really always forces you to not to make mistakes. I mean, look at this. They've let up 3 points in the last 2 games while scoring over 100.
Yeah.
Pretty insane.
But they don't play anyone. And we just seen highlights of Kelly Bryant, the one who actually replaced Deshaun Watson, who's in the NFL now. They're not losing a step. We just seen a bomb being thrown to one of their running backs. They have unlimited weapons, in my opinion. That team is going to be, who knows, it might be a rematch in the college football championship game. But I think a lot of teams are going to have to say something about that.
The only thing I have refuting that for Clemson is it seems that this year, ever since they lost to Deshaun Watson, the only time they're making the big plays is when they absolutely need to. Other than that, they're kind of just putting the offense into cruise control, if you will, and just kind of going with it.
A lot of teams are like that, though. I'm sure Alabama is that until they play Auburn later on in the year.
All right, so now let's look forward to games this week. Cordell, what are some games you have on your radar?
My number 1 game of the week has to be the Michigan State game at night. I think those teams obviously hate each other. It's for a trophy, the Paul Bunyan Trophy, and I think Michigan coming in with the number 1 defense in the country, as well as Michigan State coming in with the number 5 total defense. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. You know, one of the games where they say bring your pads, make sure it's not cold outside, because those are the players who don't want to play in those games. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, in my opinion, though, because you have John O'Corn, the quarterback, is going to be starting for the first time for Michigan, and we're going to see what he's made of in this game. It's a big game.
My game that I picked, we're going to wrap this show all around here with, I'm going to pick Penn State versus Northwestern, just because, like we said earlier, we got the our Heisman pick with Shaquan Barkley, and, I mean, he's just electric. Yeah. Like, if you haven't watched him play, that's why I picked that for the game to watch, because watching this kid play it's just not even real. He's just he completely changes the game, and he's just so dominant.
I can tell who your man crush is. It must be Saquon Barkley. Yeah,
hey, he can get my number if he wants.
That is a good game, and there are a bunch of other good games going on this year. And Michigan plays Penn State later on in the year, so that's one we might have to revisit later on. But
without a doubt. So that'll conclude this episode of T360. Make sure you subscribe and follow all of our other social media pages. From Talent Sports, I'm Nick Kobel.
I'm Cordell Cummings.
And thanks for watching.